What's up, guys? ArtistVersion1 here, and welcome back to another edition of Stories No One Asked For, the podcast. And if you don't know by now, this podcast is based off a little book I wrote a few years ago, and my attempts at writing up a follow up that never came to fruition. And we have a very special episode here tonight. I was thinking about what to do tonight, and I was going to do one story, then I thought about another, and then I had a brilliant idea. So I figured a few weeks ago, now I think it's like what, 3 weeks ago now. I did an episode on my friend Jamie, and to be a dick, which I'll mention it later. I sent her the podcast, and that actually was the catalyst of us reconnecting and such like that. So I figured, why not bring her on the damn podcast? So joining me tonight on this podcast to talk about some stories that you didn't ask for, Jamie.
Hello, I'm
Yes,
here.
I know. And we're gonna talk about that episode. We're gonna probably talk about some other stuff, but before we get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to the great people over at moviesarusa.biz. Where you can head on over and find hard to find TV shows and movies that are available on physical media. Look in the news lately. Target, Best Buy, they're getting rid of that physical media. And if you love your physical media, head on over to moviesarusa.biz where you can use checkout code ARTIST, ARTIST at checkout. Save yourself 50% on your purchase. And on top of all that, you'll get free first class shipping and also free international shipping for the international listeners. We only have Canada at the moment, but hey, you got to start somewhere. So be sure to head on over to moviesarusa.biz today. Use that checkout code ARTIST. Let them know that Artist from Stories No One Asked for the podcast sent you. All right, so let's get into it. So, like mentioned, I did the podcast where because like your name was actually shortlisted for the stories that I was actually going to write in the second book, and I just I never found the focus to write the second book, so I send it over, and your initial thought was what?
Well, it was about 4 in the morning, so I just woke up and check your phone as one does when I wake up in the morning. And I saw a message from you, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen that kind of notification in like, what, 3 years maybe?
Oh yeah, I think yes, I'm like that. Yeah, because ever since our falling out, I think we
Yeah,
had one communication, and that was through Haley, and then that was it.
yeah, yeah. So my initial reaction was like, whoa, like, let me rub my eyes real quick and make sure I'm seeing this right.
Yeah, because you
And
answered me at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something.
yeah, yeah, I just woke up in the middle of the night and you just check your phone and then kind of go back to sleep. But I opened up your message and I saw that it was a podcast episode and I was like, my first initial thought was, oh boy, like what could this be? But it
Mhm.
sparked my curiosity and I'm open minded, so I, gave it a listen and just hearing all the stories like,
Like, what'd you think it was gonna? Did you think it
oh
was just gonna be
man,
like an hour of just me, just like fuck this whore?
pretty much, yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot more negative, to be honest. And, listening to it, I enjoyed hearing back the stories because they were really good times,
Mhm.
and hell of a lot of laughs. Like especially the Shan Shan part
Yes.
literally had me in tears because I distinctly remember laughing so hard I nearly crashed my car.
That was one I didn't write down in my notes because a lot of these stories that I write down for
Yeah,
episodes, I kind of like write points on it, and like that was one I was like, oh wait, I gotta talk about that.
I'm
So,
glad you did because that just brought up the whole memory and it made me laugh for sure.
mhm. So I do the episode, I send it to you, and like my reaction at first, you're just like, oh hey, I'm glad you have a podcast. See, I didn't know if you were being a smartass or not.
Sure.
So I was just like, fuck her, man. Still fuck her.
Yep.
I was like, here's your thumbs up, fuck off. But then I got to thinking, I was like, do I really want to leave it at that? Like
Yeah.
she did message me and shit. So I was like, all right, maybe I should say something. So I said something, and like we got talking about, your possible upcoming podcast,
Yeah.
you know, um, and then you finally was just like, oh, how are you doing? We got
Mm-hmm.
talking about us and such, and then I was waiting to see who was going to address it first.
Yep.
Uh, and like
The elephant in the room.
since you addressed it like, oh, how are you doing? I was just like, all right, maybe she's gonna do it. Like I really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was like, I don't want to address it.
Yeah.
Because like I really thought it was just gonna be like, oh, you doing okay, good, okay, bye, and then that's it. We're
Right.
done. So that's when I was finally just like, okay, you know what, let's address this. So I was like, okay, let me address it. Are we passing each other in the hallway, so to speak, or are we resolving differences here?
Mhm.
And so what made you want to, and obviously, since we're here today, we know which one we picked, but what
Right.
made you like, okay, enough time has passed where I can, you know,
Yeah. So seeing that message just kind of made me reflect on, well, one, listening to that podcast episode kind of reminds you of the good times you had and
mhm,
kind of what your relationship was like with that person. And multiple times, throughout the 3-ish years we didn't talk, you have crossed my mind, and I've always hoped that you were doing well. And I missed it. I missed you, honestly, truly.
mhm,
And hearing back the stories, it's like, this is really unfortunate. I don't like how this ended. This doesn't feel right. And I wanted to move past it. I wanted to just pick up right where we left off, maybe a little bit before where we left off, and just continue. And also, I've had some life changes to where I feel like I can be a more like outgoing, reliable friend as well.
yeah, because you'd have to hear her podcast to hear all about that. I've heard it up close and
Yeah.
personal, but
Hmm.
you'd have to hear that to get more in depth about that. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so but I was hesitant because
Hmm.
the way we left things. If you heard the podcast, it was basically just when we left things, it was hey, we can talk online, but I don't really want to hang out or anything like that, which fucking triggered me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I said. I was like, if that's still your stance, then I'm just not gonna waste your time.
Yeah.
And to her credit, she was no, no, no. Let's get lunch. Let's get dinner sometime.
Yeah.
So then we met up at my job because I'm a cheap bitch. Um, I wasn't paid yet, so I couldn't take you out somewhere.
Oh, it's fine.
Um, so we pretty much hashed out everything over fucking Firehouse Subs and everything, you know.
Hmm.
So where we figured out, I finally got to learn why you left the relationship that I alluded to in the podcast.
Yeah.
Um, we figured that out. The one thing, this is one thing I didn't get to ask you, so I figured, what a perfect time to ask it on the podcast here.
Yeah.
Um, you said you were listening to the podcast, and you're just like, "Ooh, I can't believe I did that," and ooh, like, what were the things that you said that you're just like, "Ooh, can't believe I did that"? Like, what were the things that made
Um.
you cringe like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, like, mainly it was the like sexual things. I was like, I
Mhm,
can't believe I was so open to just, you know, be like, hey, here's my tits. Like, whatever, no big deal, right?
mhm,
And like, it doesn't bother me because, like, whatever, you live life. But looking back, I'm just like, wow, because I don't feel like I could ever be that kind of person again. But you know
mhm,
what? Like, I had fun and it was fine, and I don't really regret it. I'm just saying, like, when you grow as a person and something's changed and you look back, you're just like, wow, I was fucking wild. It's not like you regret it. It's just like a shock factor.
mhm.
It was that, honestly. Everything else,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, yep, that sounds like me.
Well, I mean, it would all sound like you because it
Yep,
happened. You know.
because it was me.
Yeah. You know. So, wow, there was a. Did I point out anything? Like, did I say anything in the podcast where you're just like, that's bullshit?
Um, I don't think so. No, like
Really?
I, I'm gonna be honest. I don't quite remember everything because it was a few weeks ago that I listened to it. But
Mm,
like every story you brought up, I'm like, yep, I remember that.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think so. I have to re-listen, but
Yeah, I was just curious if you think there was any indiscrepancies there.
no, I don't think so.
Okay, because so let's go ahead and break it down here. So we did meet at High V,
Yep.
unfortunately. Well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but High V was not the ideal.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I see, and a lot of people who listen to me talk on this podcast and YouTube and such like that, they I know they probably think like, oh, Will and his fucking or artist whatever and his first world problems with Hy-Vee and shit.
Yeah.
Here's another witness right here that can tell
Yeah,
you that
Hy-Vee
Hy-Vee.
sucked.
Yeah, here's another witness right here that can tell you that Hy-Vee is like fucking a hellhole.
And they don't give a fuck about you.
No, you know
Absolutely not.
you're just a pawn on the chessboard that's easily removed.
You're just a number. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, you're
Fuck.
a spoke on the wheel. This you remove the spoke, the wheel keeps spinning.
Got that right.
Yeah. But something about you is that you kind of moved all over that store for a bit. You were up
I did,
front.
yeah.
Yeah, you were up front. You were courtesy, then cashier. Then you kind of were stuck in bakery for a while, and then, honestly, I don't remember why did you leave Hy-Vee.
I'm trying to remember myself because I also worked like in the Market Grill or the restaurant or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. That's right. Because
yeah.
yeah, I have a picture of you in the Market Grill outfit of me and
Do you
you.
really?
Yeah, yeah. If you remember in the podcast when I was just like, after she blocked me, I was like, you know what? No, fuck that. I went
Wait,
to
yes, I do
another.
remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I sent a picture that said, "Here, now we're done," and shit like that. It was
Yes.
that picture. It was you in the Market Grill shirt and me in the break room.
And the crazy eyeliner I had.
Hmm.
Okay, yep, I do remember that.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot about the Market Grill.
So I also worked at Lawn Garden, and I think I just walked out one day, honestly, or stopped showing up because I was so fed up with the bakery manager at the time. I
Oh yeah, I remember you not liking her.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, absolutely not. Just terrible manager. And I think I just had my moment where I was like, all right, fuck this shit. Like, I'm fucking done. I can't stand one more second. And if I remember correctly, I just walked out. But this was also 2016. And my memory is shit. Like, I don't remember hardly
And plus,
anything.
plus, again, not to air your dirty laundry here, but
Yeah.
plus, you did have a lot of, mental issues, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I did allude to that in there, where like there was a time you sent me a Snapchat video of your wrist bleeding, and I'm like, what the fuck,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So there was a lot of torment, I would or
Yeah.
tormention, or I forgot, trauma. That's what I'm going for here, going on
Yes.
at that time.
And
So
there still is, but I'm handling it in a much better and healthier way, which I'm
exactly,
grateful for.
yeah. So yeah, going back to, you said you cringed at, like, like, hey, here's my tits and shit like that.
Right.
So when that was happening, so like,
Mhm.
okay, so here I am fucking drunk as hell too at the time when I had a drinking problem, which
Yep.
you didn't, I don't think you knew at the time I had a drinking problem.
Oh,
Um
you hinted at it a few times,
did
but
I? Okay.
I think so,
Because I
yeah.
know during that time you were just like, "Oh, you're drinking." I'm like, "Yeah, because this is the anniversary of fucking my breakup,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Right on."
I remember that being a very hard day, and I remember
Yeah,
talking to you through that
yeah,
night.
because
Yep.
we just started like fucking talking and shit.
Yeah.
We were like bullshitting and everything. So like, if there's a way that you could explain it, do you think
Yeah.
there's a way that you could, other than just, "Hey, I was wild"? Can you explain like why you think you were that person?
Um,
Was it like a need for
yeah.
attention? Was it, just like, "Hey, I just want to show people titties"?
Yeah,
Were you like
so
a fucking candy?
definitely
Were you like the Johnny Appleseed of titties?
honestly, part of it was definitely the need for attention. I
Mhm.
wouldn't admit it back then, but looking back, I've matured and I definitely enjoyed the attention. I enjoyed feeling special. I enjoyed the compliments and just the attention focused on me. And honestly, like I was very, very mentally
Can you
unstable. And
turn up your mic
because
some?
what's that?
Okay, there you go. I was gonna say turn up your mic some. There you go.
Oh, I think I had it covered, but
You're good.
I think a lot of it was me being very not only mentally unstable but unaware of it,
Mhm.
and I think that's really what caused like the desperate need for attention and validation. And I think a part of the way I coped with it was just like over sexualizing myself.
Mhm.
And that was just kind of my way of almost having some, I don't want to say self worth, but it definitely kind of contributed in that way. And I don't know. That's just kind of what comes to my mind when I
Because
reflect on it.
it wasn't just you. To be fair, it
Yeah.
wasn't just like, "Hey, look at me." Because like, like mentioned, I would get photos slash videos of you and other people.
Oh, I don't remember that. Oh wait, yes I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I I don't know. It's like a shock factor just thinking
Hmm.
back on it. I'm just like, "Oh my god." It's kind of nice in a way because I didn't care and I was so comfortable with who I was.
Hmm.
But of course, you're going to have like some uneasy feeling looking back, but
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is.
All right, fair enough. So,
Yeah.
like mentioned, we hung out quite a bit.
Yeah.
What was it about me that you're just like, I can hang out with this cat?
That I can
Yeah.
because you made me laugh uncontrollably. You have a wonderful sense of humor. And I just think every time we just laughed about the stupidest shit and
Hmm.
just the way we could joke around with each other because we both could take it, the jokes, and it was just honestly always a good time. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just easy energy, and laid
And,
back
and when
people.
she says stupid shit, I want to reiterate, we mean stupid shit. There was one, I didn't mention this in the podcast, but, or the last one, I should say. But there was a time where, like, I forgot why we went there, but I know we ended up at Walmart, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted to mention this, but I forgot it. So after hey, you want to see my session in the car?
Yeah.
We go inside and like I found this like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for like $1. I was
Oh
like,
God.
dope, I'm gonna fucking get this. And like I just kept using this Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to just use like cheesy pickup lines on you as you're recording it for
Oh God.
Snapchat. Or like I just put like the Stay Puff on your shoulder and it's just like, do you have a keg in your pants? I'd like to tap your ass. And like we're just posting it on Snapchat,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh man. Yeah. It's
Oh.
just it's the humor. It's us just being laid back and being goofy and not really giving a shit. Like that's what really just made it easy for me.
So then that leads to why, and again, now when I ask this question, I don't want it to seem like why the fuck was it me? Like it's not
Yeah.
that. It's just, so why did you think that I was the person? Like whenever you had, because let's be real, like 9 times out of 10, and for all I know, you could have been going to other people for all I know. But 9 times out of 10, whenever you had a problem, whether it be money, whether it be personal, whether it be emotional or whatever, you
Yeah.
were in my inbox.
Yeah. So looking back, it was one because you're very like attentive and responsive and you're always very willing to help and just hear me out and I really
Mhm,
appreciated that. And also it was the way you I don't really know how to put it, but it's still true to this day. It's the way that you respond. It's just like what I need to hear.
mhm,
Or you had this way of like almost bringing a little bit of humor into it, but also I don't know. It's truly just your personality. It was always what I needed in those moments. And as far as like going to help, it's because I knew that you genuinely cared about me, and that was very clear
mhm.
always.
Yeah.
And that's honestly why. And because you never made me feel bad about asking for help or for asking for advice or for anything. Because I've had friends who like throw that shit back on you, right? But you never did, and I always felt comfortable because I knew you were there and I knew you cared.
Okay. Wow, I'm learning some shit here tonight. Okay. So, um, so now when you got with we won't say his name just for, personal reasons, but when you
Yeah,
got with the guy that you got with that eventually I wouldn't say ended our friendship, but put made a falling out between us.
yeah,
Um, that's when you and I kind of started drifting away from each other.
yeah,
We weren't hanging out that much. That's when you really started to be a homebody,
yeah,
you know. Um,
absolutely.
unless my name was Allison, then all of a sudden you're like, I could go out.
Yeah.
Um, so did you realize it then? Like, oh fuck, like the hell with Will, or was it something that, I finally drilled into your head later?
Um, it was more so I'm trying to find the right way to answer this. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, go ahead. This is
It's like
stories no one asked for, baby. Let's do it.
right. Exactly. this is answers no one asked for, but well, I guess you asked for. It was complicated because
Hmm.
I'm not making any excuses, but being in that relationship literally tore me to pieces.
Yeah.
And I was so goddamn depressed that I hardly left my room. I
Hmm.
didn't even want to be in the same room as him, and it it did cause me to be a really bad friend, especially to you because you were very always kind and supportive and say, hey, let's go out, let's do this, like let's get you out of the house. And I was just like, no, I'm okay, I'm sorry, like I can't, right?
Yeah.
But then I would go out to the bar with like Allison or some other friends, and um, at that time I wasn't thinking about obviously how it was affecting other people or how it may have come off, but I it's hard to look back and think about it, but he always got upset with me whenever I would hang out with any guy, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
And I also just got to the point where I was just, even when I went to the bar with like my friends, like Allison, for example, when I
Hmm.
come back, he'd make little comments like, oh, like what guy were you flirting with? And it's like, no one. I'm just drinking to cope with having to live with you. Like,
Yeah.
fuck. It was hell. And I don't
Hmm.
know. That's really what drove it, was just the depression and just not feeling like I could do anything without hearing about it when I got home.
Hmm.
And I
Now,
didn't want to do anything. Yeah, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was letting you finish. So, like mentioned earlier, we hung out and shit like that. We'd go to lunch all the time.
Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't say all the time, but we went on quite a few lunches and everything like that.
yeah.
Just have like totally inappropriate fucking lunch talk, shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, that was I believe it was also another Leonardo's adventure where we're talking one night and I was just like, I don't think I could date you, and you're like, why? And I was just like, cause you're just fucking wild, man.
Yeah,
You know? So it wasn't until about this time is when like I noticed a change. I was like, okay, she's kind of calmed down her shit. This is before I knew about this fucking horrendous relationship you're in and shit like that,
yeah,
you know? And like I was like, I kind of dig Jamie now and shit. So like again, I didn't bring this up in the last one. So I don't know if you remember this. You probably will once I mention it. But like I remember writing you this long email that was just basically just like, hey, like I kind of dig you. No, I'm not fucking head over heels in love with you, but I'm just saying, like, if you ever fucking, if you ever find yourself without dude and everything, like, hey, give me a call or some shit.
yeah,
And you're just like, I consider it. And I'm like, right on, cool. So that's why when I found out about like this relationship, you're like, this relationship sucks.
yeah.
Fucking total 1 star. Do not recommend. That's
Zero
when I was just
stars.
like, yeah, exactly. That's why I was just like, okay, like here's your option out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the best, way to go about it, but it just seemed like it was like a better option than being abused. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So um, I don't know where I was going with that, but okay. Um,
you're good.
yeah, I just wanted to mention that,
Yeah.
but I think that though did be honest
Hmm.
did that kind of drive a rift between us.
No,
Really?
honestly, no. I I remember appreciating your honesty and just being straightforward.
Hmm.
Truly, what at least what it felt like for me, what drifted us apart was honestly the depression and being in that relationship. It had nothing to do with you, and I can understand why it may have felt like it,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't. And I remember like weeks after I had blocked you, I had already started missing you and missing our conversations and seeing you. And I was also spending all of my time like I couldn't even keep a job for 2 weeks because I was just quitting them and just laying in my room
Mhm.
drinking in the dark, and I missed you, and
Yeah.
that never went away. But that's truly what drove it away, is me getting in that terrible situation. And then of
Mhm.
course, like, abuse is complicated and you kind of start
Yeah.
to get attracted to it.
That's interesting. I did not expect that answer from you, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that leads me to, so we finally, I finally have that, what I like to call, or what people like to call, the come to Jesus moment here,
Yeah.
where I'm like, all right, you know what, I'm tired of this, hey, let's go hang out, and you're like, no thanks. I'm like, cool, no problem. And then yet I see you hanging out with other people bullshit, so I was like, you know what, I'm over
Yeah.
this bullshit,
Hmm.
you know so I finally was just like, "Hey, what the fuck is your problem?" Essentially, and that's when you lay it down like, "Okay, hey, you know what? I just don't like leaving the house with certain people, yada yada yada." And that's when you're just like, "All right, we can talk, but I don't want to hang out." Which, okay, which that's
Yeah.
what did it for me. The
Hmm.
thing that got, and we talked about this in person, but we're just reiterating for the podcast purposes here. Um, but the thing that got me is that, like, you're like, all right, we can talk, but I don't want to hang out. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're fucking done here.
Yeah.
Like, no need to carry this conversation any further. And the thing that got me is that you blocked me on everything.
Yeah.
Elaborate?
Yes. In that moment when things were going down, when I saw the message that you said, like, we are done here, in my mind, I was like, okay, we're done. He doesn't want to be my friend anymore. Fair enough.
Because
And I
that's what
remember,
I did feel like at the time. I was like, all right, well, fuck, she don't want to. She
yeah,
don't want to hang out and shit. Fuck her then.
yeah.
You know how
And
many people I have on my friends list that like I hate, that like I just keep them there just to see how long they stay there.
yeah, I can,
And
I can
like you were just
understand.
gonna be part of that game then.
Yeah. Um, when I saw that message, I thought, okay, he doesn't want to be my friend. I can understand why. Um, I was pissed off for probably whatever reason. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But
Mm.
I was just like, fine, fuck it. And then I just blocked you because I thought, well, it's over. Like, I don't want to keep getting these messages. Whatever, fine. And also, I remember Andrew being in the room and I remember him encouraging me to block you.
Mm.
And
That part I never knew.
yeah.
You didn't bring that up when we met up.
Well, honestly, like when you look back at it, you start to remember more stuff.
Hmm.
And I do remember I was sitting in that brown chair right by the front door and just kind of talking out loud about what was going on. And,
Hmm.
he never liked that you were my friend. He never liked pretty much any guy that was my friend.
Hmm.
And looking back, it was just so stupid that I ever fucking validated his opinion whatsoever. But anyway, it drove me to block you. I was like, fine, fuck it. And then I got your second message, we're done here at the photo. And I was like, fuck, like, this is a good friend. Just
See,
push
I
it
never even
through.
knew you saw that because it usually says like
Yeah,
red, so I never even knew you saw that, to be
I
honest.
did. I did see it.
So okay, so now in this time frame, I'm blocked and shit like that. Our mutual friend Haley, who I've mentioned many times on the podcast and live on YouTube and such like that, she comes to me and says, "Hey, I have a message from Jamie," and I'm like, "Okay, what?" And it's just like, I left the guy, blah blah blah, this stuff. So why go through Haley? My question is, I should ask you this in person, but again, we just FYI, we did talk about this in person for the
Hmm.
people at home, but like we had like a limited time frame we are dealing with, so we didn't get to really hash out all of our problems.
Yeah.
So my question is, why go through Haley when you could have just click on block and message me yourself?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know why I chose to go through her.
Mm-hmm.
I I really don't remember why I made that decision, but I think part of it was I felt like you wouldn't want to talk to me like ever again. That was what I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking at the time. And I was still friends with Haley and I was just like, "Hey, can you send Will this message? I know he's probably not going to care and that's fine, but I need him to know." And the reason why I needed you to know was because, like, you saw me at some of my lowest moments.
Yeah.
Like, you saw me come over to your house with me crying because of just
Yep.
how he was treating me. And so it was important for me when I
And
finally
trying
left
to
it.
and trying to talk you into leaving them.
Yes, many, many times. Um, so when I finally left this terrible relationship, it was very important to me that you knew, because I still cared for you and I still wanted you to know. Like I said, I don't know why I went through Haley, but I just needed you to know that, hey, Jamie left. Like, she's gone. She's out of that. I
Mhm.
just needed you to know. Simple as that.
Yeah, because I remember her telling me, and I was just like, and like,
Yeah.
because like I was still pissed because I was just like, the way we left things. Plus, I'm just like, she could have just fucking unblocked me and told me.
Yeah.
We could have probably worked things out fucking 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay. So at first I just let it sit, but I'm the type of guy that's just like, like fuck off, and then like I let shit simmer, and
Yep.
then it just simmered. So I was just like, I have a message for her. And she's like, I really don't want to be in the middle of this. I'm like, too late. You're here, man.
Yep.
You're in the middle of it. I got something for her. So I sent my message back and I never heard anything again.
I
You know,
actually don't remember what your message was.
it was essentially just like, hey, good for you, but you fucking blocked me. What the fuck do you want me to do?
I
Along the
don't think I
lines of,
ever got that message, honestly.
oh, Haley told me she sent it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she told me because like at first she didn't want to send it. She was just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the middle of this. I was just like, you're here, man. So
Right.
I gave her a day to fucking like, chill on it, and then I messaged her the next day and I was like, you feeling better about this? Well, here, send it. She was like, I already did. I was like,
Okay.
okay. Cause like I told her, cause, it was essentially along that lines. I don't know it verbatim, but I know it's essentially like, oh, you did? Okay, good for you. But you blocked me, like fucking, what the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah.
Cause yeah. So, now we circle back to the beginning here. You get the podcast, you listen to it, you're like, oh shit, um, I forgot where I was going with this. I usually have shit better prepared than this, but
You're
um,
good.
so all right, so we reconnect and everything,
Yep.
and I guess we live happily ever after. I guess you
Yep.
know, but and then we get married, have kids, all that shit.
No kids. Fuck
No
no.
kids. All right, so we can get married. Okay, cool. I guess
God.
I can roll. I already have one kid. I don't need another kid.
Yeah, I can barely handle my dog.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She's a handful.
But okay. That's a question I can ask you. Would you change anything from the past?
Of course.
Really? Even if it changed the outcome today?
Well, okay.
Like
That's a
you have
good
a
point.
butterfly effect info. Like if
Yeah.
you go back and don't show a titty to somebody, fuck, we don't meet today.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Okay. Fine. I guess no, I wouldn't change anything because I feel like everything happens for a reason and everything happens the way it should.
Hmm.
And obviously, like, my life wouldn't be what it is now if those things didn't happen, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes I look back and I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? But you know what? So what? It's fine. And I'm grateful for where I'm at. So I guess no. But sometimes I look back and I'm just like, what the fuck, Jamie?
You say that
I,
every day though.
I do, probably like 50 times a day because I
No?
make stupid decisions, but it's fine.
Um, let's see, where can I go with this here? I think I've covered everything. Da-da-da-da. I'm looking, make sure. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, okay. I think I've covered everything. So
How about that?
yeah, all right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I mean, she talked more than Jack, so I'll give her that. Oh, my phone's going off.
I try.
Um, yeah. So so that was the story that you didn't ask for. You know, I figured it'd be interesting. Maybe hearing it from the other side.
Yeah, and honestly, when I listened to that podcast, I was thinking like this would be kind of cool if I could join in and kind of respond.
Yeah,
So
and
when I
that
saw
that's
your message tonight, I was like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, so that's why I was just like, okay, so I'm basically like just going off my notes from like the episode that I did about you, and I'm just kind of elaborating on that, which is why I'm just like, okay, I got nowhere else to go now, you
Yeah.
know, and that's why I wanted to make a point when I did that podcast. I didn't want it to sound like, sour grapes from this end because, again, like, not to kiss her ass or anything, like, I mean, while she, said all these nice things about me and everything, I mean, the feeling has been reciprocated.
Mhm.
Like she's done things for me. She bought the stuff like when my dog died, such like that. She's bought me pizza before. Stop
Yeah.
messing with me. I'm working. Well, not really working, but whatever. Um, and such like that.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
wanted to make that clear that it's not just like a fucking podcast of fuck her. You know, uh,
Right.
that one's gonna be for another time for somebody else, but you know,
Ooh,
probably.
suspense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got a few of those stories. You know, Tati.
Awesome.
I almost did the Tatiana story tonight. Is what I was gonna do. I changed my mind. That one's actually in the book.
I don't think I've heard that one. I'll have to go back and give it a listen.
I haven't done it yet, but
Oh, well,
yeah. No, but
future.
I think you were. No, that was the second year you were there. Never mind. I was like, wait, that was at the. That's one. Oh yeah, you know what? I kept forgetting to mention this story. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. We got to backtrack some. Hold on.
Okay.
So hold on. We'll end with this little story here. So there was one time that and there it's been very other than like our falling out. It was very rare that like we didn't really have a lot of arguments or
Yeah.
anything. We'd have like, I think at one time I said, move your sweet ass. And you're like, don't ever say that. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, shit like that would piss me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck her, man. What the hell is she getting all uppity about? But there was one thing. Once I say this, you're going to fucking know exactly what I'm talking about. There was one thing that happened one time that fucking, I wouldn't say infuriated me, but I was pretty pissed off about it. So when we worked at Hy-Vee,
Yeah.
um, we had this big company party, and I think you were gone by this point. I'm not 100%, but everybody at the company party, whether you work there, so you can bring a plus one.
Yeah.
Me going by myself, I obviously didn't have a fucking plus one. I didn't care. So Jamie, yeah, you were gone because you were just like, man, I wanted to go to the company party, man. I was like, well, shit, I got a plus one. Be my plus one. You know, and I didn't mean it like, hey, come be my plus one. We can get a fucking hotel room afterwards and fucking,
Yeah.
I just meant like, hey,
Yep.
you can be my plus one, so you can just come to the party. And she was just like, I don't know, I'll think about it. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Haley asked her. Haley asked Jamie, hey, why don't you be my date for tonight? Be my plus one. Fucking right away. Jamie's like, fuck yeah. I'm like, are you fucking for?
Mm,
I was hot about that one. That was one I was fucking hot about.
that's understandable.
You know,
I can't tell you why
because I
can't
remember
tell you
Haley
why I
telling
made
me
that
that
decision,
Haley's
but
just like, "Oh, Jamie's gonna come with me." I'm like, "Beg pardon? What?" She was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, we're gonna go on a date and everything." I'm like, "Huh?" But
Honestly,
I just asked her to be my plus one. She was like, "Oh, I have to think about it." Like, what the fuck?
yeah, that's fucked. I'm sorry. Past me apologizes for that. I think probably in the moment was I don't know, maybe I thought too much into it. I was like, "Oh, this is like a date. This is too serious." Like, no. But it wasn't. Like it was just a simple invitation and I didn't need to react the way I did, but
Mm-hmm.
I
Damn
don't
right.
know. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was pretty
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I forgot I think I alluded to it in the previous one, but not this one. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember that. That was like the one time, other than the falling out and like little, because like anybody who knows me knows I can get pissed off at the littlest shit. So
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. I forgot the context, but I know one time I was just like, "You need to move your sweet ass," and you're just like, "Don't say that to me." I was like, "What the fuck? Fuck you."
I must have been in the mood that day.
Yeah, something. I forgot what the
Yeah.
context was. I just remember saying like in a voice text, like, "Move your sweet ass to do something." I forgot what it was, and you're just like, "Don't say that to me," and I didn't talk to you for like 3 days because of it. You know.
Yeah, I must have been
Um.
in a mood or something because
Yeah.
that does not sound like
You know.
me.
But like that was like the only other time, and like I remember you like coming to me at the holiday party to say something about it. I just don't remember what though.
I don't
You're,
either.
Yeah, I remember you coming because I vividly remember sitting at a table and then like you came up and I think it was something like, "Are you mad?" or something something along the lines. I just don't remember what, you know.
Yeah.
But I just remember being hot about that one. I was just like, "Fucking I ask you," and you're like, "Oh," but Haley asked you, you're like, "Fuck yeah," and I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah, that's
Just because I'm
understandable.
white, isn't it?
She's too. But yeah, I
Oh
hear
yeah,
you.
that's.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're gonna call it here, kids. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little trip. You know, because I've been mentioning this on the YouTube channel and shit. You know, Jason or movie fan, whatever you want me to call you. He's mentioned it quite a few times, and I think Tony also mentioned it and shit. So hopefully, you know, this has been interesting. I know Tony only likes the stories where it's just me. He doesn't like guests, but whatever, deal with it. Um,
Deal with it. That's right.
yeah, deal with it. You know. So yeah, until next week, I am the Artist Version 1, and for Jamie, until next week, be breezy.